could you explain us a bit more about your company Onward?
Yes. So Onward was founded in 2014 by researchers at EPFL, one of the leading technical universities in Europe. And the company was founded to help people with spinal cord injury walk again and stand again. When somebody has a spinal cord injury, they typically have paralysis and loss of sensation, but they have a number of other challenges. Frequently, they have difficulty going to the bathroom. They have very poor blood pressure regulation. They can have frequent infections. And we as a company want to introduce therapies that can help these people in every one of these areas. And indeed, that's what our vision is, that empowered by movement, people with spinal cord injury will enjoy life in every way that matters to them.
Can you also occur people, like for example, who have car incidents, who have maybe like 100% spinal cord injury, like 100% unable to walk again? Can you also help them?
So ourselves and our research partners are looking at ways to help people with spinal cord injury with a range of severity. And I think you're going to see some news coming out shortly that indeed even the most severely injured patients can benefit from our therapies.
Okay. So you're focused on this niche area, but do you also focus on other areas with your company?
Well, it's really not a niche, actually, Ronald. There are 7 million people in the world with spinal cord injury, 650,000 just in the US and Europe alone. And for all of human history, there's been no therapy available that can help them restore strength and function even well after their injuries. And so there's a lot of enthusiasm for the therapies that we're currently developing. And we're not far away from commercializing them and making them available to these injured people. In fact, our first therapy, which is designed to restore arm and hand movement, is already in pivotal trials, so already multi-center clinical trials in the US and Europe, including one center in the Netherlands. And if all continues to go well, we expect to have that therapy on the market next year.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were focused on a niche product, but I mean, I think you're quite unique in the world with your company. That's what I mean with niche. Like you're one of the founding companies in this area, I think, in the medical world.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We really are pioneering these therapies, stimulating the spinal cord to restore strength and function in people with spinal cord injury. And so we have a lot of first mover advantages. Among them, I would say, is our very strong IP position, where we now have over 310 issued or pending patents worldwide. Half of them are our own patents that we've developed, our own inventions, but half have been exclusively licensed from the leading neuroscience research labs across the world, like Caltech and EPFL. So that's one of the many first mover advantages that we have as the pioneers in this area.
Do you also cooperate with other big companies, like these big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, etc.?
At this point, there's no need for us to collaborate with these large companies. And indeed, some emerging or scale-up companies like ours need to partner when it comes time to distribute, to commercialize, because they have to reach thousands, hundreds of thousands of primary care physicians or family practice physicians. In fact, our customers, our patients are very concentrated in a select number of spinal cord injury clinics in the US and Europe. There are only 200 of them. So we can deploy our own modestly sized field organization when we commercialize next year, build and control our own channel, and keep all of that margin. So it's really a sort of a more simple go-to-market than you would typically find in biotech or medtech. It's a nice advantage that we have.
So as a starting company, you could already be like a monopoly player with your position.
Well, we're in strong position in that we have 2 proprietary technology platforms that we've developed that are purpose-built for our therapies, that have capabilities not found in other devices. We have that very strong IP portfolio that I mentioned, now over 310 issued or pending patents. We have very strong relationships with the patient advocacy groups in Europe, Wings for Life, in North America, the Christopher Reeve Foundation, the former actor who was paralyzed in an equestrian accident. In fact, they're an investor in our company. So we have a very strong strategic investor in the Christopher Reeve Foundation. So we have a lot of, I think, elements that make it difficult for people to compete with us. I think we have differentiated advantage.
Yeah, got it. I also read that you also focus on other diseases, maybe like Parkinson. Is it also in your area?
So our primary focus as a company is serving the spinal cord injury community, but there has been promising research that our therapies can also help people in large adjacent populations like Parkinson's and stroke, other movement-related challenges. And so that's something that's it's upside for the company. It expands the total available market, certainly. But for now, our focus is on spinal cord injury.
Okay, got it. And I think your market potential is worldwide, of course, or do you first focus on US and Europe?
Certainly with 7 million people with spinal cord injury worldwide, we eventually would hope to serve all of them and improve their lives and the lives of their loved ones. However, we're running a business here and we're growing a business, and we have to be smart and focused. For that reason, our initial intent is to commercialize in the US and in Europe. And indeed, within Europe, we're going to start with those countries that have a really nice, sophisticated rehabilitation infrastructure, and then reimbursement frameworks that pay for innovative technology, like Germany, the Netherlands, the UK, and France. So starting in a very targeted way and then growing from there.
Okay, so I think your product has a quite big scale potential. I think when it works, you can roll it out everywhere with the same procedures. Like the same
yeah, so I mean, there are going to be certain markets like the third world where it's going to be difficult because one of our platforms is implantable, so you have to have the proper operating rooms and so on. But for most of the world, it's a straightforward implant procedure. It's similar to implants that are being done today for pain management, for example. So we don't have a big issue in terms of training surgeons to do something new or the acceptance of the therapy. So a lot of the typical obstacles that a med tech company may face, we don't have.
Okay, got it. And when do you try to have your first commercial product finished on the market?
So the first product that we intend to introduce is called ARC-EX. It's actually an external stimulator that stimulates the spinal cord through leads that are placed on the skin. We're in a pivotal trial now. We started it last January, and we actually completed enrollment in December, early, despite the challenges of COVID, which to me signals that the clinical community, those that care for people with spinal cord injury, are excited about this therapy. And so we're going to continue to finish that trial, analyze the data, submit it to the FDA and to the governing bodies in Europe. And again, if all matches expectations, we'll have it on the market in the first half of next year. So we're getting close.
And for the patients, can you also cure patients that have the spinal problems for years, or is it maybe technical more easier if people just have a car accident and the next week they start with the operation, or can also be people that are in a wheelchair for 20 years, can they also be cured?
So it's easier to intervene early, shortly after an injury, when people they still have their muscle mass and coordination and their overall health is good. Over time, when people have paralysis, their muscles sort of waste away and atrophy, and it can become much more difficult to do rehabilitation. It's not unlike if you injure your knee skiing, you want to begin your rehabilitation right away. Having said that, all of our research has been done on people who are chronically injured. They've been injured several years ago. And so at the beginning, it's going to be indicated for people that have had these long-standing injuries. Over time, we want to get labeling or approval to intervene earlier, where we're hopeful the outcomes will be even better.
Okay, sounds good. Of course, many investors are always worried about new companies that don't really have a commercial product yet. Many people always ask me about cash position. Can you say something about that, or the cash burn ratio?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We have ample cash on the balance sheet. In fact, last calendar year, we raised over 110 million euro. We did a pre-IPO round last April of 30 million euro. And then in late October, we completed the largest early stage medtech IPO in European history, raising 86 million euro on Euronext Brussels and Euronext Amsterdam. So we're very fortunate to have ample cash on hand, and that allows us to fund a number of different indications that we're planning to bring forward for the benefit of all of these people.
Okay, and maybe you will search later also for other listings and other exchanges.
It's very possible. We want to improve liquidity, broaden our shareholder base, increased analyst coverage. So I'm American. You can hear in my voice, even though I live in Europe. So we're going to be exploring maybe a U.S. listing in the future. We're going to keep our options open and do what's best for the company to make sure that we have ample capital, that our shareholders are enjoying good returns, and they have a free opportunity to trade as they wish.
Okay. So yeah, I don't really have much question anymore. Maybe you can say something about the next years. What could you expect from the company, with maybe having multiple products commercially live and maybe more in the pipeline?
Yeah, one of the good things about having two different technology platforms and multiple indications in development is that we can generate a lot of news flow. So there's going to be a lot of attention, I think, on the company and the stock and our progress. So over the course of the next few years, we're really transitioning from a development stage organization to a clinical and commercial stage organization. So we want to add operational capabilities, add our field organization. And as we receive approvals from FDA and we receive CE mark and we can commercialize in Europe, we're eager to then commercialize and become cash flow positive over time as well.
Okay. Now that you mentioned the FDA, do you see the same requirements also in Europe for the medical improvements?
So we're conducting very rigorous multi-center trials at the leading centers around the world. And that's allowing us to generate the data we need to submit to FDA and the authorities in Europe to commercialize. It should be the same set of data that's readily accepted on both continents. We have a very experienced team that's conducting those trials. We have FDA breakthrough device designation as well for all three of the indications in our business plan, which means the FDA has judged these therapies to be innovative and addressing an unmet need. That should also help us. It results in a streamlined approval process and more flexible clinical trial design. So we feel like we're in good shape from a regulatory perspective. We just have to execute well on the trials and move ahead.
Okay. So to summarize, if you have a green light from the FDA, would it also mean you have for a big chance also a green light in Europe?
We would expect if the FDA is comfortable with our submission, then the regulatory bodies in Europe would also be comfortable, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So we have a nice rigorous study design. The study's being well managed. We have very credible investigators, and the pilot studies leading up to this pivotal trial were also very promising. So we're hopeful, and we have every expectation that we will get authorization to commercialize sometime next year.
Okay, and do you also cooperate with universities?
We have actually several different license agreements with leading universities around the world. That helps us build our IP estate, certainly. And then many of the universities are also participating in our current clinical trial and will participate in our future clinical trials. So, and indeed, as a company that was founded by university-based researchers, we're very comfortable interfacing with the leading researchers around the world.
Okay, so to summarize, we could say you're like both a medical company and both a tech company.
We're certainly a technology company, yes.
Yeah.
We have our own technology platforms, and the therapies that we're developing are truly innovative. There's no question. And yes, we are also a medical company, a medical device company that's highly regulated, but we're helping people improve their quality of life and their overall strength and function and independence.
Why did you choose for Eindhoven in Netherlands?
The company was actually moved to Eindhoven, I think, in 2015, because the leadership of the company at that time lived in Holland, and the company also benefited from some of the innovation, the financial support. We received a loan from RVO, and then as well, Analist.nl participated in our pre-IPO financing last April. So that's we have significant ties to the Netherlands, and we're in NV now. And as well, our private investors, pre-IPO, many of them were Dutch, including Incaf, and then Europe's leading life science venture capital firm, LSP. Each of them invested during our Series A in 2016, again in the pre-IPO round, and then again in the IPO. So they obviously have a lot of confidence in the company and our prospects.
Okay, so these major shareholders, they have how much percentage, more or less, of your company?
I don't have that figure top of mind.
Okay.
And, yeah, but our Dutch shareholders, the institutional shareholders, are significant holders indeed.
Okay, got it. Okay. I don't have questions anymore. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you, Ronald.
Have a nice day.
I think it went well.
Okay, speak to you later. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.